Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is February 15th, 2014. Christina Bosnack is here, and I'm joined by Marty McGee from the Daily Racing Forum. It's so good to have you on, and I'm getting spoiled twice in 1 week.
Yeah, you had me on Wednesday, and I picked one winner.
Mm-hmm. But by the way,
and it paid $380.
Yeah.
So what good can you say about that?
Well, a very nice winner actually from the Dale Romans. You were on that, and a very nice individual. And that, so, yes.
You're giving me a mulligan. How's that?
I gave you a mulligan.
All right.
Today, we have a really, I think, tough card on tap. I was going to say it is a great card and very competitive. I think a lot of great betting opportunities here today because a lot of these races so evenly matched, and one of which is, that we have to consider. We have the Rainbow Six today. It's a 20-cent wager, and that Rainbow Six, there's a carryover, $760,000. Marty, that's going to be over $1 million, and no doubt later on today, that starts in race 6.
You would think so. I mean, it's been growing by about 60 or 80,000 in the last few days, but those have been weekdays, and now we're talking about a Saturday. And really the pick 5 is the real value in my opinion. You rarely see a pick 5 carryover, so it's essentially free money that negates the take. And Larry Colmus, your track announcer here, was saying he thought it might even grow to $1 million today. I would think it might not get that high. You guys usually offer what, a $100,000 guarantee anyway.
Yep.
But it's very good seed money, that 113 to start, and the pick 5 and the Rainbow pick 6. You said there are some tough races today, and as well they should be as people chase both of these jackpots.
Well, there's also the late pick 4, and there's a $200,000 guaranteed on that, and so a lot happening here. But before we get into all the the betting angles and who we're going to be putting on our tickets today, a couple of interesting tidbits that came out. Mucho Macho Man, who won the Sunshine Millions Classic last time here very impressively, he's going to be running in the Big Cap, they've announced.
He is going to run on the Big Cap. I think that's March the 8th.
Yep.
He is not going to go to Dubai. There was some speculation that perhaps he would or should, being as good as he is right now, but he's not. He went this morning in 58, I think flat, something real ridiculous. Mike Welsh was over the top with him as per usual, but it looks like he's really on his game now as he heads eventually to California.
You know, another horse that we should mention who also worked this morning, and that's Cairo Prince. And he's going to be he's targeting the Florida Derby. And I know that you had a chance to speak to his trainer, and that's Kieran McLaughlin.
Kieran was good enough to give me about 90 seconds of his time this morning on the phone. He was up at Palm Meadows. Cairo Prince, of course, was almost a 6-length winner here of the Holy Bull on the 25th of January. You would think that a trainer might want to run him 3 times before the Kentucky Derby, which is May 3rd, but Kieran announced a week or 2 ago that they're just going to go on and work him up to the Florida Derby, which is here on March 29th, and that'll be his second and last prep for the Kentucky Derby. But Cairo Prince this morning went 48 and change. Kieran said we were looking for a 49 maintenance type of work, and all's good. So they're all set as going forward from the Holy Bull.
Well, it seems to be a little bit more in vogue, at least in recent years, that the trainers are giving a little bit more time sometimes before the Kentucky Derby, and not really putting in, not running in, dancing every dance before the big day.
Christina, if you go back and look at the Kentucky Derby past performances from like the 70s, some of these horses, it's a full page of PPs. They'll have 20 or 25 races on their past performances. That just doesn't happen anymore. You have horses with, like Big Brown just had 3 races up to the Kentucky Derby, and 5, 6, 7, 8 is about the norm now. It's just the way that guys train. So I think that's a reason why on Derby Day, when you have 20 horses, you have a 5 or 6 to 1 favorite. There's just not that established form that they used to have back in the Affirmed and Ali Dar days when they had clearly already proven they were best. And that's why the Kentucky Derby tote board is just so wild every year.
It is, and something to look forward to, and also the Florida Derby here, and that is going to be in March, at the end of March. But so much happening, and let's get into today's card. We do have a lot of ground to cover on this 11-race card, and we'll kick off with the first race on the card, which is a 12-5 claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track, and I went with number 4, Buffoonery, from the Peter Walder barn. And Peter Walder, especially with these kind of horses, this horse ran in 25,000 claiming test, and that was at the end of December. Probably going to be showing speed, but I think cutting back to 6 furlongs from the 7/8 is going to help.
Well, he's got Dylan Davis on him, and I talked about him on Wednesday, what a good little bug boy he is, and he's won a few races here this week, actually, with some really nice rides. You know, I've noticed, Christina, not just being here at the Gulfstream, but being a simulcast player back in Kentucky, it seems like Peter Walder's horses tend to be overbet a little bit. Right now, he's the 3-1 favorite. I'm going to avoid him and go with number 8, Move Over, trained by a trainer by the name of Fergus Bogle, who's a Kentucky guy, claimed off a nice win off of Marcus Vitale. And number 1, Livingston Swagger. He's really had he's going to be my second pick and kind of a sleeper here. He's really got excuses for his last 3 starts for Bill Kaplan, who, by the way, the form shows is over, but he did win a race here on, I believe, Thursday. So he does have a win at the meet. But if you throw away his turf race last out, and then he was in Too Tough and a 2X before that, and the race before that it was a layoff. So I think that number 1, Livingston Swagger, is really the sleeper in here with an 8-1-5.
Perfect. We will move on to the second race on the card, which kicks off the early pick 4. It is a 7.5 furlong turf test, 35,000 maiden claiming event. Number 9, Secret Fascination. That was my top selection, but I see you went in a different direction. You went with number 7, Siyawi.
Siyawi, is that how you say that? Okay. David Fox is starting to heat up. He's won a couple of races here this week, and you know, it seems like horses have been forwardly placed, the winners on the grass, since about last Sunday. And so I'm going to go with, it looks like he's going to have a little bit of speed in here with your horse, the 9, Secret Fascination, and then Marty Wilson for a throw-in. His numbers are not that good with his first-time starters, but he is Marty Wilson, so we'll go on with him with 7, 9, 10.
On to the third race on today's card. It is a 25,000 claiming event. It is 6 furlongs on the main track. And number 5, Be Brave, and is my top selection in here. And I think you went with Jamie Ness in this one.
Be Brave is a horse from my circuit. He's run a whole bunch back in Kentucky. Claimed off a maker, not that good of an angle in my opinion. I got to go elsewhere with the Midwest Thoroughbred horse in My Charming Clyde. I also gave a real long look to Capital City. Christina, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of speed in here, and this horse is stretching out from the 5.5 and dropping down a little bit in class, and I think the 1 might be a pretty tough catch in here. I think the 6 can come get him, so it's a 6-1-5.
On to the fourth race on the card, which is a 12.5 maiden claiming event. It is 6 furlongs on the main track. I went with number 7, Dunkirk's Best. I'm coming into this off of a second-place effort, but, you know, a big swing in weights here. We're getting the bug boy aboard.
Yeah, you are. Carson Sullivan, his next victory will be his 5th, and that means he'll go from a 10-pound apprenticeship to a 7. Outran his odds first time out. I went with a first-timer in here, number 2, Denim and Pearls. A lot of times in races like this, if you're picking a first-time starter, you're kind of saying, I don't like the horses who already run, and that's pretty much the case here. Eddie Pliza, obviously an outstanding trainer. You know him from here and at Monmouth. And I'm just going to go with the Deuce, Denim and Pearls with Benny First Baby and Dunkirk's Best to round out my try.
On to the 5th race on the card, which is a maiden special weight event for 3-year-old fillies. 1 1/16 on the main track, and this is one of those races. I think it's pretty wide open. I think there's several horses that I liked in here. I went with number 7, and that's Quilt from the Bill Mott barn. I'm really counting on Bill Mott having a good day today because I'm all on the Mott train today, and getting blinkers on after I thought a pretty good second-place effort behind a horse named Dancing House. And Dancing House, she was 3rd in the Grade 1 spin away. She's shown that she has some stakes ability. So I went with Bill Mott, although coming back off a layoff. Yeah,
exactly. Coming back off the layoff. I think all things being equal, Quilt might be the best horse in here. But if you look at number 2, Lucky for You, she does have benefit of a couple of races over the racetrack and a 1-mile race under her belt. I think she might have the edge, drawn inside also for Castellano and Pletcher. So I'll go with her, pick Quilt 3rd, and split them with number 4, Mei Ling for my cushion.
And we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and have a look at the 6th on the card that kicks off that Rainbow 6, and there is a carryover over $750,000.
The OBS March 2-year-old sale is the Grade 1 source to the world, with undefeated juvenile champion Asia Express in Japan, Grade 1 juvenile stakes winners by Conquistadore, Secret Compass, and Bondholder, King's Bishop winner Capo Bastone, and Breeders' Cup Sprint winner Secret Circle in North America. Make plans to find your next Grade 1 winner at the OBS Selected 2-year-old sale, March 10th and 11th. OBS, we measure success by performance.
ExpressBet brings you a whole new way to play the races. An easier, better way to wager on your favorite tracks. With a more streamlined interface for faster wagering. With more handicapping insights from our world-class experts. With more racetracks, nearly 200 to choose from. And with your personalized multi-view wagering screen, your tracks, your wager pad, and your video are all on one page. It's simply the best way to play the races. Your way. Welcome to ExpressBet. Your way to play.
We're back at Gulfstream. We're going to have a look at the sixth race on today's card. That kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six. There is a carryover, over $760,000, and maiden special weight event for 3-year-olds, a mile on the turf course. I went with number 8, H-Town Brown, now under the care of Wesley Ward, was previously with Eddie Keneally, and a couple of, we should say, a trio of second-place efforts. I already know what you're going to say, Marty. And he finished the latest of which was he finished behind a nice horse named Hartford, and I particularly like this horse. He's actually very well bred. He's a half-to DeFunny Bone, who was a very fast horse himself. I'm going to give him another shot. I know that he's been, usually I try to stay away from these types of horses, second. But I think there's several factors here acting that I want to give him another shot.
Well, I don't blame you for that. However, there are some very well-bred horses in here making their debuts. Namely, for me, Rosario takes the call on the Kimmel colt, number 5, Private Relations. I just thought that him doing that and John having given this horse so many solid works up at Palm Meadows that he raised a chance. Also, my man Barkley Tagg with number 2, Part, and number 1, Unicat for Kieran. They all look like they're well prepped, well bred, and I thought, why not give one of the firsters a shot in here?
You mentioned number 5, Private Relations, and he's a 3-year-old colt by Warfront. And Warfront, they paid $325,000 for him at the Fasig-Tipton, that's the Saratoga sale of the summer. And Warfronts are very, very good, not only on the turf, they're very, very good first time out, too. So the numbers fit as well.
Absolutely. He's been one of the preeminent sires here in recent years in North America.
A couple of horses I also used. Number 1, Unicat, and this is a 3-year-old colt by Galileo. If you see the ownership, it's Stronach Stables. It's a little bit unusual to see, Frank Stronach with a Galileo. However, they paid $2.55 million for this mare. She is a daughter of Spain with carrying this foal, with this foal in utero. So they've spent a lot of money for the mare, and it seems to, and this is her first foal, so it's a little bit of interesting of a pedigree perspective. We don't see a lot of Galileos in this country.
No, we don't. He's mostly overseas, and that's some good info you got there. That's not even in the daily racing form.
No, it's not right. And Galileo, the world-leading stallion in 2013. So for those of you not familiar with the pedigree, a very top-notch stallion. Also, we cannot fail to mention number 3, Charge Now. He's a 3-year-old colt by Tiz Now, and the Dam Supercharger has already produced a Kentucky Derby winner, and that's Super Saver.
That's right, the 2010 winner in the slot. It comes well prepped up at Payson for Billy Mott.
On to the 7th race on today's card, which kicks off the Pick 5. There is a carryover in there, over $113,000, and as we were talking about earlier, is going to be expected to be much higher than that. And it is a maiden special weight, 7 furlongs on the main track. My top selection, I went with number 3, Athens. No need to read into this because of my Greek heritage, but we're going to take a look at his start last time. And Marty, he didn't have the greatest of starts. He didn't really have a great race, but he has been doing very well, and nice breeding to boot. He's a half-to Pomeroy, who is a fast horse.
Yeah, here he is coming out of the 10-hole. Whoops! Yeah. And spots him, 4 or 5 lengths there, right there. Billy Mott is adding the blinkers today, and he is very much a well-bred colt. Was a high-dollar yearling purchase. You would very much think it was with Rosario taking the call, Christina, he's going to improve today.
Yeah, he certainly should, and he is by Giants Causeway, and he's actually been kept at Gulfstream Park by Bill Mott. Most of his horses, or a lot of his horses, are at Payson, but he kept him here to just get him familiar, or keep him familiar with the surroundings here. But another horse that I'm actually pretty interested in that race, number 8, CJ's Awesome. He seems to be a little bit of the talking horse. He is making his first start. Awesome again, his numbers are okay with his first-time starters, but he actually RNA'd, which is he didn't sell for $320,000 at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale. I look at that as a bit of a barometer. The horse didn't sell, however. I think that they thought he was well meant. Ken Big Peak, not really a first-out trainer,
right,
but he seems to be a very interesting, he seems to be a bit of a talking horse.
Yeah, I like outside posts for young horses going short for sure, but I'm going to go with a different Mott horse in here. That'd be number 6, Meddlesome, by Medaglia d'Oro, one of the top sires in the world, out of a Grade 1 winning mare, Sweet Symphony. And use it over a horse trained by Dale Romans, number 1, High Rate, comes out of a very key race late in the spring meet at Churchill Downs, won by a horse named Conquest Two-Step, who's now on the Derby Trail, and another horse named Right on Curlin, who's been very well regarded. So I'm sure that he'll take a lot of play. 6-1-2 for me here, Christina.
Okay. Looking on to the 8th race, which is the first of 2 graded stakes on the afternoon. It's the Grade 3, the very one. It is 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf course for fillies and mares. And another interesting, very competitive race. I think a nice, good betting race. This race does kick off that late pick 4. In the late pick 4, there's a $200,000 guarantee. And I went with another Bill Mott horse. I went with number 5, Preferential, and a 5-year-old mare by Dancili. And she sports a pretty nice work tab coming into this race, Marty. Let's take a look at that last race that she came out of the Dowager Stakes. That's at Keeneland. That's in your neck of the woods. And she beat a mare named Left a Message, who is also running today.
Yeah, she really came to hand last fall in Kentucky. And actually, Billy Mott, here she is just going to kind of surge away here with Leandro Gonzalez up. And goes on and beats the gray Proctor mare, Left a Message. But Billy wanted to keep her racing and wanted to run her over at Calder in the La Previamente, but they canceled that race for whatever reason. And he said she's just kind of ticked on over in her training and just kept on going. So clearly a very well match race, and here I had a chance to talk to Graham Motion about inimitable Romane, the New York bred who won her last start up at Aqueduct. Says she doesn't necessarily need the lead. He wishes he had been running her around these 3 turns before. But, you know, she came out of some really good New York bred races. She's a competitor in here. I ended up going with a Godolphin horse for Tommy Albatrani, number 7, Anjas. I just thought this was a way wide open race. I had to pick somebody to win, so I went with her over the Grand Motion horse, the 6, and number 1, Egg Marine for Christophe Clement. Again, as you said, a very wide open race and a lot of tough races for these multis as we go into the last part of the card today.
You know, I used Anjaz as well, and for many of the reasons that you just mentioned. You look a few starts back, she was back in the Sheep's Head Bay. That was back last spring. She finished behind a mare named Tannery, who routinely faced the boys. She was second in the Flower Bowl. She won the E.P. Taylor later in the season up at Woodbine. So very nice mare, and she's been running against very, very nice horses, and she's got a spectacular pedigree. She's by Street Cry. The Damn Playful Act cost a world record $2.5 million at public sale. So there's a lot of pedigree. And she was another one that was supposed to run in the stake at Calder La Prevoyante.
Well, you keep coming up with these non-DRF stats, and you're throwing me curveballs, but go ahead.
So a couple of nice horses, and as Marty said, that's a race that we're probably going to have to spread on a little bit in that one, and it is for that late pick 4. We move on to the 9th race on the card. There are a couple of scratches in there, number 4 and number 8. It is a $35,000 allowance optional claiming event, 1.5 miles on the turf course. And my top selection, I went with number 3, Transcend.
I'm against that horse. I think that horse might not want to go the 1.5 miles, although a lot of times pace players are key in these kind of 3-turn races. I'm going with number 6, Hurricane Elvis. I thought the 11 was clearly the horse to beat. I tried to be a little bit more imaginative than that, though. So 6, 11, 9 for me here, Christina.
And looking ahead to the Grade 2 McDermott Handicap, and it is 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf course. And here's another competitive race. We did have a one scratch, and that's the main track, the also eligible main track only horse, and that's number 10, Micromanage. I went with, here's a shocker, Bill Mott in this race with number 4, Slumber. This is actually a horse that I liked last time, and I thought that he was going to run. I thought he ran pretty credibly in that race, and he was 4th, beaten 4 lengths in the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale. That was January 11th, behind a couple of nice horses, including Summerfront. And so he's been running in competitive races, and I look for him to move forward off of that.
Well, I think clearly the pace is going to be the key for number 4, Slumber, Christina. If they let Alpha go, and I was kidding Ronnie, the line maker here, Ronnie Nicoletti, I don't think we're going to get 6-1 on Alpha. I think he's the class of the race, and if they let him go, he might just walk the dog out front. I'm all in on Alpha, unless the long shot number 5, Bingo Bango Bongo, is the one to go on and chase him and give him some trouble. I think he's going to go out all the way. So I'm going to go with a 9-6-1 here in the McDermott.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned Alpha. Alpha won the Travers Stakes as a 3-year-old. He came back, won the Woodward, and that was at 4. You mentioned walking the dog. He's shown that he has a lot of speed. He's trying the turf for the first time, which is interesting. And Bernardini, his sire, not particularly a turf, not known for producing turf runners. However, the Dam Munaya, very, very grassy European family. So I guess they're thinking that he can translate that form over to the turf.
He only has had one turf work, but Kieran said he really liked it, and he's very confident because of the pedigree and some other factors that Alpha will indeed take to the turf today.
Yeah, and also we have number 6, Twilight Eclipse. Probably can't leave him out from the Tom Albertrani barn, and he came in last year. He blew the doors off in the Grade 2 Pan American. We can have a look at that race. A very, very impressive performance. Now, a couple of things about this horse, Marty. He has a tendency to get hot. I've seen him race several times. He always gets pumped up. He gets hot. In fact, that day that he freaked out in the Pan American, he looked like he was melting down going to the gate. However, very fast horse. He comes into this off of a pretty nice race, and that's at Calder. That was an off-the-turf affair, and his numbers fit, and he's been targeted for this race.
I think he's definitely the horse to beat in here for West Point.
Looking on to the final race on today's card, the 11th is a 16,000 claiming event. It is 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf course. No scratches or changes thus far, but our man Larry Colmus will be over just in a few minutes to give us all the updated information for today. And I went with wow, we've actually agreed on a horse today. Number 11, Charade from the Micah Maker barn, and just nosed out last time in similar company.
You know, this might be one of the most important N2L 16 claimers in history, with all that's going to be riding as the final leg for the pick 6, the pick 5, and the pick 4. So I went with Maker and the Ramseys as well. When in doubt, with them, and 11-6-5 here for me.
You know, Marty, just before we let the good folks go, you know, just to talk a little bit, because we do have so many races, the Rainbow 6, and that carryover, we have also the pick 5. You know, there isn't really one race that I feel strongly about singling here.
I don't either. I mean, I really do like Alpha a lot, and if I had to just kind of pinch one, you know, that would be him. But you know, like you said, I would not feel real confident paging through this racing form and trying to circle one just to put all my eggs in one basket.
I agree with you, and it's just such a great betting race, or betting races on tap today. And that's it for myself and Marty McGee from the Daily Racing Forum. I know you're heading back.
Going back to Kentucky tomorrow morning.
And I'm guessing you're going to miss the weather a little bit here. We have a nice weather here, but great having you on.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
And I will be back later on this afternoon with Ron Nicoletti. Folks, stick around. We have so much on tap. Good luck.